Good morning. You know, Srila Prabhupada Mukunda Maharaj told me this, that we have a temple, we have several temples in London area, and one of them was purchased by George Harrison, and is called Bhaktivedanta Manor in Letchmore Heath. And it's mostly countryside. And so there's you can walk all the way from the cliffs of Dover to the end of Scotland. England is famous for its walking paths. And Prabhupada would take a morning walk. So he would walk with his disciples early in the morning on one of these walking paths. And there were British gentlemen also walking. And because they were British gentlemen and gentle ladies, when they walked past Srila Prabhupada, who just emanated a spiritual aristocracy, he was you just sensed that Prabhupada was a very noble person, a gentleman in the true sense. So they would walk past Prabhupada and they would say, "Good morning." And Prabhupada would respond, "Good morning, sir." So they would say, "Good morning, good morning." Then Prabhupada, because they were offering a greeting to a saintly person, Prabhupada would set them up. So he would say, "Good morning," they would say, "Good morning" back, or vice versa. So this was going on. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. So Prabhupada said to the devotees when they were out of earshot, Prabhupada said, after several exchanges of good morning, "Do you know what good morning means for the materialist?" And the devotees didn't know what to say. So Prabhupada said, for the materialist, good morning means nothing horrible has happened yet. Prabhupada said, only a devotee can say good morning. We have a good morning. They stumble out of bed with bad news and turn on whatever it is, and MSNBC and Cox or whatever it is, and wham, they get hit with the stock market's crashed, and this has happened, and that's happened, and have a cup of coffee and a cigarette and stumble out and get slapped silly by the material nature. A devotee gets up, takes a shower, puts on clean clothes, keeps looking at this watch because they want to get over to the temple, see the beautiful deities in kirtan, get some nice prasadam. We have here, Bhagavatam class, we have a very good morning. And they, let's hope nothing horrible happens yet. So that's from Prabhupada via Mukunda Maharaj, who's Michael Grant from Prabhupada Leelamrita. And it's a genuinely saintly person. He's a whole lot of fun. Jayarado Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balaba Givanadari Gopijana Balaba Givanadari Yasodanandana Janaranjana Yasodanandana Janaranjana Jamunitiravanatari Jamunitira Banatari Jayararum Madhava Kundabihari Gopijana Balaba Givanadari Jasodanandana Vijanaranjana Jamunatiravanatari Tiravanata Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Welcome back. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bo, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Rama Rama Jai Rama Rama Kunja Bihari Jai Rama Rama Kunja Bihari Jai Rama Rama Kunja Bihari Marava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Padi Bhajakacharya Sateta Shishman His Divine Grace Abhaichara and Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koda Vaishya Brinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Vithuradham Ki Dwarka Dham Ki Navadip Dham Ki Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Ganga Mai Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Sambhira Bhakti Vindi Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Say Radha Giridhari Ki Shri Krishna Sankirtana Jaga Ki Gopremanandi All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Om Vishnupada. Oh, that we said. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Sadamo Bhagate Dhammaganadi Bisaha Kalandasa Dashamesha Parano Konadodata Narayana Namaskricha Naram Chaivam Narotama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. The Bhagavatam, which is brilliant as the sun, is arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied with knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of the age of Kali shall get light out of this Purana. So we are on the 8th canto, chapter 5, and I think we're on text, 28? Okay, well, I think we can deal with that. Ajasya Chakram Tu Ajaye. Hare Krishna. Ajaye Yamanam Manomayam Panchadasaram Asu Tri Nabi Vidyuch Chalam Asta Nemi Yad Aksham Ahus Tam Ritam Papadye Ajasha Chakram Tojayes Param. Hare Krishna. What's the tune? There we go. Ajasya chakram tvajayeva yamanam. Hare Krishna. Manomayam pancha dasaramasu. Trinabi vidyuchalamastanemi. Yadakshamahus tamritam papadye. Ajasya chakram tuchayeva manam. Manomayam panchadasaramasu. Yeah. Trenabiyud vidyuchalamastanemi. Yadakshamahus tamritam papadye. Ajasya chakram tvajayeva manam. Manomayam pancha dasaramasu. Trinabi vidyuch chalamastanemi. Yadaksha ahus tamritam papadye. Ajasya chakram tvayajayamanam. Manomayam pancha dasaramasu. Trinabi vidyuch chalamastanemi. Yadakshamahus tamritam papadye. Ajasya chakram tvajayaramanam. Manomayam panchadasaramasu. Trinabi vidyuchalamastanemi. Yadakshamahus tamritam papa. Shankarshan. You want to chant? No. Okay. Vaishnavis? Ajasya chakram tvajayaramanam. Manomayam panchadasaramasu. Trinabi vidyuchalamastanemi. Yadakshamahus tamritam papadye. Ajasya of the living being. Chakram, the wheel. The cycle of birth and death in the material world. But Ajaya, by the external energy of the Supreme Lord. Iryamana, going around with great force. Manamayam, which is nothing but a mental creation, depending chiefly on the mind. Panchadasa, 15. Aram, possessing spokes. Asu, very quickly. Trinabi, having 3 naves, the 3 modes of material nature. Vidyut, like electricity. Chalam, moving. Astanemi, with 8 fellies. Those are like spokes. Yeah, they're like spokes. Okay, where were we? Having 3 naves, the 3 modes of material nature. That we said. Vidut. Did we say that? Yeah, we're all the way up to the 8 external energies of the Lord. Yet, who? Aksham, the hub. Ahu, they say. Tam, unto him. Ritam, the fact. Papadye, let us offer our respectful obeisances. Now the translation. In this cycle of material activities, the material body resembles the wheel of a mental chariot. The 10 senses, 5 for working, 5 for gathering knowledge, and the 5 life airs within the body form the 15 spokes of the chariot's wheel. The 3 modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are its center of activity, and the 8 ingredients of nature, earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego, comprise the rim of the wheel. The external material energy moves this wheel like electricity. Thus, the wheel revolves very quickly around its hub or central support, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supersoul and the ultimate truth. We offer our respectful obeisances unto him. So the Prabhupada's purport. The cycle of repeated birth and death is figuratively described herein, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 75, Apareyamitastvanyam prakritim virime param jiva bhuta mahabaho yeyedam daryate jagat. The entire world is going on because of the living entities, who is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, is utilizing the material energy. Under the clutches of material energy, the Jivatma is revolving in the wheel of birth and death, under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The central point is the Supersoul, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita 1861. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridadeshe Junatishtaha Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Udani Mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated on a machine made of material energy. The material body of the living entity is the result of the conditioned soul's activities. As you sow it, so shall you reap. And because of the support of the supporter is the Supersoul is the true reality. There's the primary cause, the first mover. That's Krishna. It's like when a train pulls out, the locomotion, locomotive pulls the next card that pulls the next card that pulls the, and clack, 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 they all start moving. But the primary mover, the cause of all causes, is Krishna. That's what it's saying. Okay, where were we? Every one of us, therefore, should offer respectful obeisances to this central reality. Everyone's got so many realities, but what's the core, central? What's it all resting on? One should not be misguided by the activities of this material world and forget the central point, the absolute truth. That is the instruction given here by Lord Brahma. Because they're looking for relief. Remember that the demigods are in great distress, and they're coming to, rather than go to intermediaries or media, go to the cause, go to the root, go to the, the first. So that's what it's. So let me say this. Did we finish? Yeah, we finished. Yeah. There's one of the differences between human life and animal life, that doesn't mean that humans can't live an animal life. Most do. And human being means to think, what's the result of this? What will be, if I do this, then that will happen. And what's the cumulative total of all this? And where am I going? And what's causing this? If one doesn't ask, and most people don't, there was a politician ran for president, and his saying was, what is it? 2 cars in every garage, a chicken in every pot, and a good 5-cent cigar. That's what the American dream. And they say, unless there's a war going on, people vote their pocketbook. They vote the economy. I think it was Clinton's slogan was, it's the economy, stupid. That you focus on because people are thinking about how to fill their belly and how to pay their bills and get a little, as they say in France, what is toast without jam? There has to be a little sense gratification, a little jolt for the tongue or the belly or the genitals, and then it's all worthwhile. That's animal life. What happens? Why is someone born blind and why is someone born with sight? Why does someone have what they say, silver spoons to some, golden spoons to others? Why this disparity, even in material conditions? Somebody has an easy life, relatively speaking, although no one really has because there's birth, death, disease, and old age. But why? And to just stumble along, stimulus response, like Pavlov's dogs, you ring the bell and they think they're going to eat, so they salivate. That's just stumble through without ever trying to figure out the rhyme or reason of the thing. That's animal life. So what Lord Brahma, what the Bhagavatam is trying to do here is get us to see the difference. Do they still have raisin bread? You know raisin bread? There's bread with raisins. Way to Sherlock. Way to go. You got to the bottom of that one, didn't you? So or let us say, what's within our experience? A veg with paneer palak. You know, you got the big cubes, and you've got they're separate. There's the chunks of paneer, which people are always fishing out, and then there's the sabji or the palak. So they don't merge. And we are not this body. We're not this matter. We're not a combination. We are separate, like oil and water. They don't mix. We are, as Krishna says here, we're riding on a machine made of material nature, meaning this body, and it's got pulleys and wheels and bags and bones like superstructure or whatever it is. It's just a machine, and we're riding on it. And this material nature is a gigantic machine. It's a giant wheel spinning. It's compared to a potter's wheel. You ever seen a potter's wheel? Anyone take any, what is it, basket weaving and pottery making in college? you know, the potter has the wheel, of course now they have electric ones, but he pumps it with his foot, and the pumping makes the wheel turn. In the same way, as it's describing here, Krishna is like the potter pumping the wheel, and the wheel is just turning. We are on a giant wheel of samsara. Picture a potter's wheel turning, and picture a little ant walking. Now, the little ant thinks he's moving forward. Okay? He's moving on the wheel. But the wheel is spinning the other direction. So to the ant, he's moving forward. But because he's on the wheel, which is moving in the other direction, is he actually moving forward? What's actually happening? What they call it, retrograde? He's actually going backwards because the wheel is turning faster than he's walking. So I was in Prabhupada's room one time, and a man kept saying, we're making progress. Everyone's convinced of that. Just like the little ant is convinced it's making progress. We're convinced that society is advancing. Right? Prabhupada said that your progress, the man kept saying, oh, we're making progress, Swami, we're making progress, you know. They never really cure a disease. We're like 1 or 2 antibiotics from the Black Plague, and they come back. Polio is coming back. Tuberculosis is brewing. People get tuberculosis. Let's suppose I'm living in New York City where the worst outbreaks are occurring, and I feel crummy. I stumble into the general hospital, the free hospital, and they fill me full of antibiotics, and they say, now come back every 2 weeks because you got to get treated. And the person, you know, they're an alcoholic or a drug addict, they're not coming back in 2 weeks. They forget all about it. They feel a little bit better, and they don't actually kill the tuberculosis. There's enough host population that what they're actually developing are superbugs. Yeah, because they become, because you just give it, it's like getting a vaccination, literally. They just get it in increments, and so the disease gets stronger. It mutates, it gets around that, and they're simply serving as an incubator for stronger and stronger diseases. And I think it's tuberculosis that we're now there's only one left. It's one antibiotic that's holding it back. So they don't really cure anything, and then they get new diseases. They're just what is it? What is there's the cases of depression and what is it called? What's it? HDD? What's it called? ADH, attention deficit disorder, due to too much screens and agitation and who knows what. So it's like a balloon. You squeeze one end. Okay, we got that one down. What happens to the other end of the balloon? Okay, we squeeze that one down and it goes up in the middle. So they're not really conquering. They're just morphing and shifting, and it's like whack-a-mole. That's what's actually happening. And it comes up in another. So the point is to develop a sense of distance. What would you call, like a fail-safe mechanism, that instead of just stimulus response, stimulus response, stimulus response, and you're just knee-jerk back and forth, to say, hang on a minute, I'm above this. I'm looking down. I'm the independent observer, and I'm watching this material nature working. It's not me. I'm independent. I am separate. I'm different from. And why does that matter? Because as Krishna gives hints in Bhagavad Gita, here's a classic. People do all kinds of stupid things. Road rage, what do they call it? Passion killings, all kinds of people lose their temper and do this and that. Impulse gambling. I mean, people are buffeted left and right. Krishna gives an example. If we have the ability, what do they call time delay? You know, they've got, I think it's a federal law that I forget what it is, some number of seconds, that on broadcast network, there's a time delay. That, and it's, I don't know how long, 20 seconds, in case somebody says something foul. Of course, now, you know, you get on Sirius Radio or you get, you know, whatever it is, you can say anything you want. But it used to be, and it still is, I think, on prime media, that if you swear or say some nasty, nasty thing, they have a time that they can delay it. They can delete it. Or they beep, they delete it out, you know? Now, human form of life and animal life, there's a difference. And here's how the difference is meant to work. What is the benefit? If I understand this is a machine, as it's being described, it's like a giant wheel turning. And I'm riding on that wheel. And I'm being moved by the material nature. I've got the 5 working senses, 5 knowledge, like the hand is a working sense, and touch is a knowledge acquiring. You know, it's how the same sense can serve both as a working sense. It's grabbing, it's lifting, and then the other one is gaining knowledge. Oh, that's this, that's soft, that's hot, that's watch out, you know. So we're on this giant machine. And if we know that, and it's describing here, the mind is all, the intelligence, the ego, pride, those are all elements of this machine, and I'm riding on this thing. If we know that, as opposed to animal stimulus response, we can watch the mind working. We can say, hey, hang on. I'm not that anger, and I'm going to explain the example from the Gita. I'm not that anger. I'm separate from that. That's the mind, the intelligence, the ego, the senses. They're all combining. They're all forming that wheel that's rolling me down through the material nature. But that's not me. I'm independent. Krishna gives the example from contemplation of the senses. What happens in Gita? One gets attraction, one gets attachment. And inevitably, there will be moments when attachment is frustrated. I don't get the car I want. I don't get the girlfriend I want. I don't get the promotion. You know, whatever it is. My anger, it's called anger after frustration, or the Rudra principle. I'll actually read the verse. I think I've got it here. In fact, I know I've got it here. I just have to find it. What happened? So this is Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 62 and 63. Now picture yourself having people don't like to lose their temper. People smash something and what did I do that for? The guy who used to live next to me threw his computer out his second-story window. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I heard a whole bunch of expletives, color for sailors language. Something went wrong, and he threw he was so angry, he threw his computer out the window. And as soon as his fingers released, what did he think? Oh, what did I do that for, you know? They say about suicide, I don't mean to make light of suicide and depression, don't get me wrong, but they say it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. There was a guy who jumped off the Coronado Bridge. Kids, don't try this at home. And he actually survived. And he said that as soon as all the problems that seemed overwhelming, the minute I stepped off the bridge, I realized that all my bad decisions could be remedied except for my most recent one. You follow? When he stepped off there, then he thought, oh, geez, now what am I going to do? It broke practically every bone in his body. It's a true story. So people under the influence of false ego and false intelligence and pride and anger and all these things, if we had a time delay, said, oh, wait a minute, that's not me. That's not my, I'm eternal. This temporary problem is going to work itself out or not. But either way, it's like a storm. That's the samsara. It rains and all the plants come up. Then summertime comes, they all dry up. The changing of the seasons. One's meant to see that. That's what the point is trying to make. One's meant to see that and know that one is separate from it. So here's an example from the Gita. Of course, Krishna is speaking. He says, while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. They fill malls with all kinds of scents. There's, I think it's called Cinnabon. It's a pastry, some kind of, and they pump out. It's all artificial chemicals. When you walk past their shop, they've got a little machine you don't see, but it pushes out that cinnamon, sugary, buttery, and you think, oh boy, that smells, oh, I think I'll buy one. They do it for all kinds of, they have mood music, they have all, can put you in a particular mood, a particular way. So that's what it's saying here. Well, why is it in the shop window? I think, wow, man, that looks good. I'd like to have that. So where are we? Krishna says, while contemplating the objects of the senses that I was just describing, a person develops attachment for them. Oh, I'd like to have that. And from attachment, lust develops, a driving force. I'm going to get one. I'm going to work hard, and next time I get my paycheck, I'm buying one of those babies. Or I'm going to steal it. Or, oh, I don't have it. All that kind of stuff is going on. So a person develops attachment. And from such attachment, lust develops, the driving force. I got to get it. And from lust, anger arises. Because when anger is frustrated, when you don't get it, or what's even worse, when you get it and it doesn't satisfy you, hey, what is this? Huh? I wasted my money on this thing? Jeez. So then what happens? From lust, anger arises, frustration of anger. From anger, complete delusion arises. I was talking about throwing your computer out or crashing your car or jumping off the bridge. And from delusion comes bewilderment of memory. You forget all about, well, wait a minute, as it's describing what reality is, the ultimate reality. I'm not too fat or too thin or black or white or male or female or I've got to get this or I'm a brand new Mustang. No, you're not. And when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material whirlpool. So we wonder why we feel frustrated, why we feel depressed, why we feel angry. We're identifying with this machine of this body and its interaction with material nature. And a human being, an actual human being, an intelligent Brahman, has nothing to do with birth. Krishna doesn't say, what is it? Chaturvarna mayasristam guna karma vibhagasa. It's got nothing. He never says janma. He doesn't say birth. It has nothing to do with what caste you're born in. But he says by guna and karma, by your qualities, by your nature, and by your activities. That determines who you are. So having the ability, you have to understand reality. Wait, I'm not this puzzle over here that makes me think I'm the body or the mind or the ego. I'm completely independent of that. I'm actually the soul watching, observing. And if just that one gift, that gift of that vision freezes from, Botox? Wearing a tie? It's a very uncomfortable thing. High heels? Why? Who in the world came up with those torture chambers? So the point is that Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita is news you can use. It is practical. It creates the understanding, the awareness of reality, what's actually real. And if you practice it, and there's all kinds of things. Don't eat onions. Drive in Italy, you'll find out. It creates passion. Certain foods are in passion. Certain foods are in the mode of ignorance. When you eat those, you become dull-headed. There's a reason they call people meatheads. Yeah, I don't know if they still use that, but you bonehead, you meathead. What'd you do that for? So there's a whole science, a yogic science based on the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita that creates that time delay, that what did I say? Call it earlier, but that fail-safe mechanism that puts a pause in there. There's a reason they say count to 10 before you do it. So Krishna's describing that. Lord Brahma, but there's a number of places there's analogies like this. The Haryasvas with Narada Muni that give us a picture. Pictures are, picture's better than 1,000 words or whatever it is, So this is one of the things we're doing here. We're developing an understanding of that vision, I'm just on a machine riding on this, and I'm just trapped like the paneer in the sabji or the raisins in the raisin bread. I got nothing to do with all this. So that's one. We're not going to spend much time because it's time to end. But over the other thing, so what's the other element described in this verse? Now we've described how it's like a giant wheel turning, pushed by the modes of nature. It's a giant wheel. Okay, and we're riding on that machine. But, I'll just say it. It's described that the hub of that wheel is the Supreme Lord. Like Krishna says in Bhagavatam, what happens if you lose the hub off a wheel? The whole thing collapses. So and the whole wheel is turning on that axis, on that hub, it's turning. Or Krishna says, who knows, other than Dravida, for 10 extra points, what's an example that Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita about how everything rests on him? And if he's not present, everything falls apart. Who knows a verse in Bhagavad Gita? Mata parataram nanyat. Who said something? Pearls on a thread. Everything rests on me like pearls on a thread. What is it? Manigana iva. Protam. Anyway, whatever. Things rest on like a pearl on a thread. What, Mataji? Suppose your husband or your father, when you were a little girl, whatever, gives you a string of pearls. I bought you a beautiful string of pearls. And you open it up, and there's a string with one pearl on it. I mean, you're a selfless person. You think, oh, thank you very much. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking, you cheapskate. You know, what is this, you know? The perfection of the necklace. Flip over a Persian rug, an Oriental rug, next time. And what will you see on the back? We have any weavers here? Any weavers in the house? It's the warp and woof. On the loom, there's the warp and the woof, and the yarn is netted, is knotted in that warp and woof. My great uncle, believe it or not, was with the CIA in Iran in 1950 when they had that revolution. It was done by the CIA, and they put the Shah in. So he brought back a bunch of rugs with him, and over time they became very valuable. I'm sitting with my brother, who my father affectionately called us fool number one and fool number two. My father said, your brother, my older brother, does so many foolish things. And I was fool number two because I enthusiastically assisted him in his capers. So we saw a little thread. I was, what would I be? I was probably around 5, which would make my brother 9. And there was a little thread. And my brother pulled it. Zzz, off the rug. Tried it again. Zzz, whole thing unraveled. He said, hey, this is fun. Try it. Zip, zip, zip. We unthreaded about this much of a Persian rug. You know, the thing was worth $15,000, $20,000. Zip, zip, zip. I'm telling you, we were in a whole heap of trouble when my mother came back, you know. So the whole thing, the beauty of the rug is that you don't see the warp and woof. But without it, the whole thing unravels. The beauty of a pearl necklace is you don't see the thread. But that thread breaks, you lost the pearls, you lost the neck, there's nothing there. Krishna as the super soul is inside every atom and inside everyone's heart. So if we understand, if we look at the world, because like a helicopter, what do they call it, a helicopter vision, or you know, whatever it is, if we can, with a detached, at a distance, understand, wait, this is just a whole machine churning out these illusions. And I'm stuck in this body, riding on this machine, but I'm not it. And everything rests on the Supreme Lord Krishna in the heart of every living entity and inside every atom. If one sees the world like that, one becomes freed. I become free from, and there's many sequences like this one, from contemplation, attachment, from attachment comes lust, and ultimately one's memory comes bewildered. So what is the advantage of studying Bhagavad Gita and understanding these things? It's freedom. It's the most important thing you can possibly learn, is how to work in this world with the Vedic vision. It's the cutting the Gordian knot. With one swoop, the whole knot unravels. Okay, we can end there. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So, of course, everyone's going to memorize that verse in Bhagavad Gita so they don't, get on the merry-go-round. Thanks. Sutre Maniganaiva, that's it. Hey, Govinda.